What's happening, everybody? Take a good look. Let me give you a disclaimer before I continue. As I'm driving, I'm not holding a camera. I'm not holding anything. Both hands are on the steering wheel, so just to let you know, I'm driving safely as I'm recording. I'm currently now in Connecticut on I-95 southbound. And what time is it? It's almost 3 o'clock. It's about 2:59. This is the type of traffic you can expect headed southbound on I-95 in Connecticut. This traffic will continue on down until about Richmond, Virginia, which you will not reach because of your hours of service. You have 11 hours to drive. Now, if you were able to drive straight without having to stop for your 8-hour break, you could probably make it if the speed limit were 70 miles per hour all the way through. You could probably get in about 660 miles, 640 miles. However, while you're driving in this area, which is New England, once you cross that bridge, the George Washington Bridge onto New York, and you keep heading up 95, once you do that, it's a 57 mile per hour average. And if you go above, if law enforcement asks to see your logs, and being that it's an electronic log, it'll show what your average speed has been and for what distance. So law enforcement would have an idea and calculate whether or not you've been driving over 57 miles per hour on average. And if that's the case, you're getting a speeding ticket. Even though they didn't follow you or got you with the radar, it doesn't matter. If they see on your electronic log that you've been averaging over 57 miles per hour, they can and most likely will give you a speeding ticket. Things are flowing rather nicely. I'm kind of surprised. It's Tuesday. I'm going to check back with you guys when I get into the Bronx. So I'll be back. Okay, we're back and we officially entered the Bronx. This is the Bronx along I-95. And this is an absolute miracle. At 3:34, no traffic, or whatever you want to call this. This isn't, for the city, this isn't traffic. This is nothing. It's an absolute miracle. Is it because there's a low volume of traffic as a result of people going out on vacation? I don't know. If you look to your left, you're going to see clusters of buildings. Those buildings all make up of what's called Co-op City. It's got roughly 50,000 inhabitants. It has a population of roughly 50,000 people. I don't know if you're able to see it from the camera because of the way it's angled, but that cluster of buildings is called Co-op City. It's the first thing you encounter on the left-hand side as you're traveling southbound on I-95. Speed limit is 50. I'm at 50, but you're gonna notice some cars, some trucks going over the speed limit. It's not unusual. Now, one recommendation for those who don't drive a truck and drive a car, try not to drive alongside a truck. Try your best not to drive alongside a truck. If you have the ability, either pass the truck, give yourself a good amount of distance if you plan on going back into the same lane that you were in while you were driving behind the truck. But if not, either stay behind or get in front. This is pretty wild. By this hour of the day, this place is usually a parking lot. Very impressive. Well, I'm starting to see a little bit of a slowdown ahead. Right along this bend here. In a car, you can exit here in a car, and it'll take you to Orchard Beach, which is a very popular amongst New York City dwellers here in the Bronx. It's a tourist site also. All the way at the very end of the street that takes you right to the Atlantic Ocean, there are a couple of restaurants that the locals here from the Bronx go frequently to get relatively cheap priced seafood. Crab legs, crabs, lobster, shrimp. And we're gonna be driving over, we already did, Pelham Parkway, which is a stretch of roadway that'll take you either to Orchard Beach or to the Bronx Zoo. But we're starting to experience some congestion. Let's see how it gets. The idea now is to go across I-95 in that stretch that's known as the Cross Bronx Expressway. Unless it's extremely congested, which it usually is. I'd be really surprised if it wasn't. But I'll definitely take an alternate route if it is. There's a sign, no trucks, buses, or trailers in the left lane. And look who I have in my left lane. Let me flash my high beams at him so he could know that he can come back in. That car cut in and cut his way in. I'm looking at the sign now, and it's telling you how many minutes of delay it has. 95 has a 40-minute delay, and the other highway, which is the Bruckner, it's got a 30-minute delay. So it looks like I'm going to be taking a detour. Was it the Bruckner that had 30? It might be 695 and 295 that have that 30-minute. I don't know. I looked too quick. But you can see the sign here, 95 South to the George Washington Bridge. That's the objective. The objective is to get to the George Washington Bridge. I already did about 300 miles. I already drove about 300 miles today. I got another 1,159 miles to go. I gotta head down to Tampa. But here we go. Let's take a look, see. Let's see what we're working with here after this bend. You should be able to see if things are going smoothly or not. There's a supermarket up top. I don't know if you saw it, but I used to deliver to that supermarket. Now, I'm looking at the, I don't know if you can see it, but there's an elevated part of the highway and I'm looking to see how fast those cars, they're going pretty quick. Those will be merging onto that highway, or that highway will be merging onto wherever we're going. Let's see how it looks when we get up there. So far, so good. We're doing pretty good. If I have to detour, I will. I really don't want to sit in traffic. Not out here. If you look towards your right, you see a cluster of buildings. Those are also co-op buildings. But they could be easily confused with projects because the projects here in New York City are clusters of huge buildings just like that. This ain't looking good. This is not looking good. Yeah, it's backed up. And it's more than likely gonna get worse. I'm not gonna speed up the camera this time. GPS doesn't like sending me this way because of the low bridges. My GPS is set so that I can go under 13.6. But the signs here don't say 13.6. They say 12 foot 10. And the GPS, I'm imagining that the GPS considers it 12.10 or 12 feet 10 inches. The thing is, here in New York, in the entire state, they don't measure the height from the floor to the structure, to the bridge, to the overpass. They don't measure it from the floor. They measure it from the hub of your wheel on the truck. So there's about a 12-inch discrepancy from the sign you see on the overpasses here in New York City or New York State. So if it says 12.6, it's actually 13.6. But the GPS apparently doesn't acknowledge that. Yeah, so this is the start of a parking lot here. From here all the way to the bridge. It's gonna be bad news. I'll be right back. Got a phone call there, excuse me for that. We're still on the cross Bronx, also known as I-95 South. I'm definitely getting off. I'm not gonna go through this traffic. It's a short stretch of road from here to the bridge, to the George Washington Bridge, but it's pretty slow. So I'm getting a notification on my GPS right now warning me that there's a height limit of 1210. So the GPS acknowledges the heights that are posted here, although those aren't the actual, that's not the actual height from the ground to the bottom of the overpass. If you're not from New York City, if you're not familiar with the 5 boroughs, and you got truckers that might live in one borough and not having a clue about how to get around the other boroughs, I've been fortunate enough, and I was blessed to have worked for a company that had me going through all 5 boroughs. So because I've been doing it for about 18 years in all 5 boroughs, I have a good sense of how to get around. So I'm going to be taking this first exit here. So I can get off this parking lot. Yeah, we're not going very fast at all. In fact, my GPS isn't registering the speed. I must be going about 3 miles an hour right now. 3 or 4 miles an hour. Yep, it just popped up. 4.3 miles an hour. Now I'm 4 miles an hour, 3.5 miles an hour, 4.2 miles an hour, under 5 miles an hour. And interestingly enough, because I'm under 5 miles an hour, if I continue under 5 miles an hour for about 6 minutes, my electronic log will take me off of driving and put me on duty. Sometimes the owner of the company would start to question whether or not I pulled over to take a break or not. I don't know if somebody finally informed him, because apparently he wasn't aware that the electronic log operated that way. But I'm under the impression that somebody schooled him on it. So I'm gonna get off this exit, and if you look ahead, you don't see any of these trucks getting off. And they're not getting off because they're not familiar with the area, and you can very easily encounter a bridge that is actually too low, and it'll ruin your day. Let's get off here. You look on the left, you're gonna see some people selling water, selling fruit. I bought some oranges from one of them once. I bought an item that cost $5, a bag full of oranges. And the person who sold me the oranges took it upon themselves to give themselves a tip without my even realizing it, until I decided to count it. So it was a $5 item. They gave me 4 singles. I suspect it was deliberate. I'm not worried about it. It'd be nice if they let me know, but they're hustling out here. It gets really hot, or in the winter it gets really cold, and they're still out here hustling. I'm not hating. So all those trucks are gonna have to, well, I'm gonna have to endure traffic lights, but they're gonna have to sit in that parking lot for a long time. So I'm right next to the Bronx River Parkway, where those instructors had their school, where one of the instructors was in the movie The Last Dragon with Timac. Yeah, see? This is the type of shortcut that only experienced truck drivers that are locals would know about and would take. Here's another fruit stand, but this one is established. They got an entire stand. They got all kinds of fruit. They got sugarcane, watermelons, oranges, bananas. And straight ahead, you got some new construction. Those are new buildings. Those buildings weren't there 5 years ago. New structure. This is what I'm gonna have to endure, the traffic lights on my way to the bridge. But even making all the stops that I'm gonna make, you can't see it because the camera's not angled that way. But those trucks that are on the highway, they're not even moving right now. We were moving faster when we were on it, and now that I'm looking over to my left, nothing. There's a sign for 95, but we're not getting on 95 because we're gonna get right on top, right on that mess. And at a terrible location at that, because getting on from that point is extremely difficult. Nobody's gonna cut you any slack to be able to get in. I gotta be careful when I make my turns because a lot of cars don't understand that trucks have to take wide turns, and the back of the trailer gets really close to anything along its sides, whether it be left or right. Got the train. You guys see the train up there? I think that's the 5 train. That's either the 5 or the 6 train. Back in the day when I was growing up, the entire, all the trains that are hooked up, that are transporting people, all those trains would have been blasted with graffiti. Completely blasted. And straight ahead, maybe 2 blocks, is the Bronx Zoo. Good Lord. What am I turning into? Oh man. Wait till you see it. Traffic over here too. I guess a lot of people have the same idea I had. But those buildings off to the left, those are brand, and right up top you can see the train station. Looks like there's some kind of monitor there or with different colors. But all those buildings along the left side, that's all new construction. Those buildings weren't there before. There might have been 1 or 2 buildings that were livable, but most of them were burnt down. And And I think along the left, I think that's a school along the left. But this is what I have to contend with right now. This little bit of traffic, but at least we're moving. Once you get off this train station, if you make a right underneath the train, follow the train tracks underneath, it'll take you right to one of the entrances to the Bronx Zoo. Got a few entrances and it's pretty big, so it covers a lot of ground, a lot of acreage. I see a girl at the bus stop with some kind of battery operated fan. It's hot out here. "35 degrees centigrade." I don't know what that is. It must be in the 90s. Take a quick look and see. Now that I'm stopped, I'm gonna go in. Temperature conversions. Temp conversion from centigrade. Right. Okay. So here we go. Can't see what that is. Let's put in 35 degrees Celsius. Yep, it's 95 degrees out here. 95 degrees. So these people out here roasting right now. Like a bag of peanuts. It can get difficult negotiating through this particular intersection. Yeah, if we're in luck, we'll catch this light right here. And we're not in luck. There it is, red light. Now, as I'm going through this intersection, you're gonna notice the complication I'm gonna have bearing right at the top. You're gonna have some vehicles making a hard left. Some are gonna bear left, and I gotta bear right, but I need a lot of space in the front in order for me to negotiate that turn up there. Because if not, the wheels on the back of the trailer are gonna wind up on top of this cement barrier that you're gonna see. I don't know if you can see it from here. There's a cement barrier, and that could complicate things. Definitely don't want to go on top of that cement barrier. It can cause me to roll over. So let's see what we got going on. It's so hot that my AC isn't even working to the fullest anymore. See how it goes. 4 o'clock on a Tuesday in July. Today's July 9th. So tomorrow, July 10, one of my children have to go in for surgery. I won't be able to be there because of my obligation. Because my obligations to the job, to the company. See here? I gotta be real careful. I gotta go really wide. I gotta go far up. And the car that was behind me on the right just discovered that it was a bad idea to try to squeeze up along the right side, because he would have been crushed. His front end would have been crushed, flattened like a pancake. Can you see the school to the left? That's an elementary school. Our elementary schools here in New York City, they look like old factories, and it's designed that way purposefully. So here we go. We got to go on this stretch right here. On the video that's sped up, We came down this street, the video that sped up. Now we get to see what it's like without speeding it up, and in the opposite direction. Let's go. Traffic lights, and we're still moving a lot faster. Not unusual here in New York City to see double parked cars, double parked trucks making deliveries. Not unusual at all. There was a time I got to even see triple parked cars. So the cars that were parked legally and the ones that were double parked couldn't even get out until the third line of cars got out of the way. Yeah, things get tight. This is Tremont Avenue. Tremont Avenue in the Bronx. For somebody new in the trucking industry, driving a truck through these areas, it can create an incredible amount of stress, an incredible amount of anxiety. And the people here, they don't even respect. They cross without even caring, because they have the right of way and you better stop. Something I do not recommend. Right of way or not, you should either wait for the vehicle to go by or wait for it to have or come to a complete stop. I was driving at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was a slight downgrade. I stepped on my brakes and nothing. I had no brakes. It was the metal along the disc brakes that was rubbing against the hose that supplied the brakes with the brake fluid, that finally gave away, because every time I turned the steering wheel in a certain direction, that metal would be cutting into that hose, until that one day when the hose just gave out, and that was the end of it. That particular road where I lost my brakes happens to be an area where these high school students used to cross. Had that happened at 3 o'clock in the afternoon instead of 3 o'clock in the morning, yeah, that could have created a very serious problem. Very serious. But here we go. We got some green lights. See if we can take advantage of some of these green lights and advance some more. OG over here crossing. We got these restaurants on the locksmith, hair products, barbers, everything. So if you live in the area, you don't really need a car. You can, well, the bus system and the subway system here in the city is superior to any other place in the country. You can catch a train or a bus 24/7. So you don't really need a car. All these people with cars out here, they're just acquiring unnecessary headaches, unnecessary expenses. Most of these places, you got a certain limit that you can park, and you got these parking meter officers, or these parking officers up and down. I'm surprised I haven't seen one yet, but they're constantly circulating, and they take note of which car is where and for how long. You get a ticket quick, fast, in a hurry. So that's an added aggravation having a car, the registration here, the plates, the insurance isn't cheap at all here in New York City. Not cheap at all. Things have calmed down a lot, but when I was growing up here, there were certain cars that you just didn't bother buying because they'll steal it in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Some of these thieves were timed. They could steal a car and strip it down to the chassis in 30 minutes. So if your car gets stolen, in 30 minutes, you won't even be able to recognize where it is, what it is. Oh, there's a parking enforcer right there on the left. Look, he's crossing the street. Sometimes they're on scooters. Look at that. Yeah. They keep the city's pockets nice and fat with tickets. Got the street food vendors. Got everything over here. Like I said, if you live around here and buying a car is just an added expense. Serious aggravation. You got to move your car from one side of the street to the other, from 8:30 to 11:30, and don't be late moving it back. Don't be late moving it over, and don't be late moving it back, because that's a ticket for each one. And out here, I think it's 3 times a week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It all depends on what street it's on. And here you got to drive aggressively. They wouldn't have let that car make that left that was in front of me just now if he didn't move in aggressively into that intersection. Yep, Tremont. The next corner is where my instructor in jiu-jitsu and judo taught for 20 years before he left. He didn't leave on good terms with the head instructor. Miyama Ryu, that's the name of the dojo. Miyama Ryu. Because this street is called Tremont, Miyama means 3 mountains. Basically what Tremont translates into. 3 mountains. So it's the 3 Mountain School. Oh, not this corner, the next corner, I'm sorry. And over here in the park on the left, in the summers we used to train in judo. Yeah, even the people are aggressive crossing the streets here. Really sad story. Really sad story. I'm not sure how far north or to my right there. No, it wasn't there. I'm sorry. It was when we get to the Grand Concourse. And I'll let you know when I'm at the Grand Concourse. To the left, maybe about half a mile down, there's a hospital. And I remember when I was a yellow cab driver here in New York City, I picked up this gentleman by Radio City Music Hall in Manhattan. And he was desperate to get up here to the Bronx. He asked me if I knew where that particular hospital was, and of course I knew where it was, and he asked me to get there as fast as I could. Now, back then, at that time, there was traffic even at the hour that I picked him up, which was sometime around 11:30 at night. So I'm trying to get through as fast as I can, but he was sounding real desperate. I didn't know what was going on. When we get to the hospital, he runs inside. He says, "I'll pay you. I'll pay you in a little while." I said, "Go ahead, man." And somebody came out and paid me, but I went inside and I parked the car and went inside, and that man was wailing in tears. He arrived at the hospital at the very moment that he got to say goodbye to his son, who was unalived by an act of violence with a firearm. It was a real heartbreaker. A real heartbreaker. Yeah. Oh my God, this guy is gonna have a very hard time making this turn, but I guess he's a local. That's a tight street that he's going up. He's got a barrier he's got to contend with that's narrowing the street in front. And look at this rocket scientist, all outside. Yeah, he's paying attention. It's all in the middle of the street. Let's get some Odium going. Yeah, I needed that. Needed that shot of Odium. So we're at the intersection of Tremont and Webster Avenue. Diagonally from us, to the left and across the street, there were a couple of well-known clubs that hip-hop personalities used to go to. So if you follow this street close to the end, to Cedric Avenue, not far, I would say about maybe 6 blocks. You follow it down 6 blocks, make a right, and you're at the birthplace of hip hop. The park where it all got started. Okay. I don't know if this guy was letting me in deliberately or what. He's even with all that, I still had to go up on the sidewalk just a little bit. Pretty tight. This is a halfway house on the right. Once you're eligible, once you've done your bid in prison, they send you to a halfway house where you come out, find a job, you can go out and work, and when you're done, you got to report here at night. And if it's a Friday night, you report here, and you're locked in until Monday morning. So this is where you get an opportunity to find a job if you can, because once you're a felon, extremely difficult to get a job. And if you do find a job, it might be under abusive conditions. So think about that. The average person, if the average person gets convicted and condemned to a year and a day and is a felon, just one felony now, I'm not talking about multiple felonies, I'm just talking about one felony. Do you have any idea how hard it is for that person to find a legitimate job? A legal job. You have any idea? There are people out here that were sentenced and convicted of a felony, a minor felony. Oh, whatever. Minor, I don't know if there is such a thing as a minor felony. But, whoa, this lady's crazy. No, folks, stop right there. Let me get through. Yeah, let me get through, buddy. Yeah. Sorry. Guy's giving me lip, but I had to get through. It's one of the complications. That was the concourse, by the way, that we just crossed. All crazy. And so to the left is that hospital that I was talking about. Yeah, so imagine a Class E felony, for example. That's about the lowest you can get. Class E felony. You get a Class E felony, and you can have an extreme. Oh, the fire hydrant's open. Kids are cooling off. You're gonna have an extremely difficult time finding a job. Extremely difficult time finding a job with a Class E felony. And that's just one Class E felony. And you're gonna have an extremely difficult time. Even getting a job at a fast food restaurant can become complicated with a Class E felony. So imagine somebody getting convicted by a jury, not by a judge, by a jury of 34 felony counts. If it's difficult for just one felony count for the average person, imagine the average person convicted of 34 counts. Think about that. I guess some of us are privileged. I guess. Yeah, things get tight out here. Not sure what that bus. There's no school. Not here in New York. It's July. Okay. So we can't move forward because something's going on here where the bus is unable to. The bus may not be able to move because of that double parked van. I might have to maneuver. Oh, wonderful. They just complicated everybody's life. Yeah, I'm gonna have to follow this SUV, get around these guys because they can't make that right. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that school bus can't make that turn or can't go down that street because of that white van that's double parked. Now I got to make sure that as I'm going through this intersection, I don't rip. Oh no, you did not just do that. Well, I got through. That's a good thing. And on the left is that's a brand new school. I think I pointed it out. No, if I didn't, yeah, it's a brand new school. So when I lived on Tremont and Loring, I'm gonna be making a left on Tremont and University. 2 blocks down from that intersection is where I used to live. And in the morning, sometimes I would have to take a walk with either my brother or my sister in order for them to take me to the train station so that we can move on and go to where we had to go. Straight ahead and to the right, brand new structures. And on the left too. No, not so much on the left. But on the right and straight ahead, brand new buildings. Those buildings weren't there before. They were empty lots. But I still see some of the characters. Still see some of the characters that were around back in the day that used to self-medicate. So this fire hydrant is open also. We're about to go through it, but it's got some kind of cover so that a lot of water doesn't come out at once. Oh, it's not even that. It's coming out the sides of the... Oh no, it does. It has some kind of... Yeah, so you get a free wash. Free wash with that. Yeah, if you look along the right, there's another fire hydrant. They put some kind of fitting on it with a knob so that you can open and close it. Back when I was growing up, they didn't have those knobs. That water would come out full pressure. And what the kids would do is they would remove the lid on both ends of a can and use the can to, oh, look at this guy. He came to his car just to discover a ticket on it. Yeah. And you take the can and try to hold it as hard as you can and get just enough of the edge of the can of one end so that it could shoot out the other end high up so that everybody can run through and get wet. All the kids can run through and get wet. Pretty wild. But we didn't have access to swimming pools and things like that. So that was our relief from the heat. So this is the corner of Tremont and University. Straight ahead, 2 corners down. It's where I used to live. My brother and sister's junior high school on the left. I don't think you can see it. But if you're not from here, taking these kinds of shortcuts can truly be nerve-wracking. Sometimes it feels like a truck doesn't even belong on the street. It's all right though, we're approaching the bridge. Well, not really. We're approaching a road that would lead us to the highway to put us on the bridge. And if you look on the right, on the far right, those are projects. Yep, those are projects. Now, over to the right, there's a slight hill. One morning, my friend and I were on our way to go pick up his car to go head over to the college. And something that we were accustomed to stumbling upon was an unalive body. Yeah, something like around 7 o'clock in the morning, we're walking by and there's the dude face down, lifeless. That wasn't unusual back in the day in the Bronx. So they changed the name of University Avenue to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. At least this part they did. I gotta make a turn about 2 blocks away. I gotta make a turn to the right, but if I stay on this street and continue following the street for about another mile, Yankee Stadium will be on my left. Some commotion here. We got 5-0 right here. We have a lot of projects in New York City. Oh, this guy wants to be a nuisance. I'm gonna let the bus go first. Gotta watch out for some of these drivers. Some of these drivers are very aggressive and out of control. Yep. Just made it in the back. My siblings and I used to cross this bridge often to go into Washington Heights, where we first moved to back in '68. Off to the right, you may not be able to see it, but there's a steeple off to the right. That's George Washington High School, where Manny Ramirez, the baseball player, went, who happens to be a cousin of mine. We went to Washington High School. I went further downtown to Brandeis after getting kicked out of Bronx High School of Science. I'm Manny's senior by, I think, 8 years. I'm seeing a lot of new construction from up here. Yeah, but this is the road that's going to lead us to George Washington Bridge. In fact, you're going to see the sign right now. We're about, I want to say, a mile and a half, maybe. A mile and a half from the location where Malcolm X was assassinated. It may not even be a mile. It might be just a mile. It might be just a mile. So we got to turn off here. You see the sign that says 95 South, George Washington Bridge. But I'm pretty sure that I got past a lot of trucks that I left behind on the high street, on the highway. See some homeless activity here on the right. So in this detour, we didn't speed it up. We stayed exposed. Real time. And I'm running low on battery on the camera. I'm gonna try to hold it off until I actually get on the road leading to the bridge. Got some classic graffiti on the wall. The hood could never be the hood if there ain't no graffiti on it. It ain't no official hood without it. It looks tight. It looks tight. So if there's no sign indicating the height of an overpass, by law it's got to be a minimum of 14 feet tall. Minimum of 14 feet. If there's no sign. Oh boy, we got to negotiate around this homeless guy. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I hope you move my guy, because I won't be able to make it. Thank you, my dude. My dude. Let me see if I got something to give him while I'm scrolling through here real slow. Give him a little something for being cool about it and moving. Thank you, man. Yeah, I gave him a little something. I didn't even have to tell him to move. Sometimes you come across a homeless person that give you a hard time. Give you a hard time. You gotta move, but they don't want to move. They want to give you a hard time. I had to take my truck over to the right a little bit onto the middle, because as I'm making this turn, as I'm going around this bend, the tires on my trailer were gonna wind up on the sidewalk. So to prevent that, I gotta go wider than what a car would. All right, so let's see if we can negotiate through this. We're pretty much near the end of the video, because as soon as I can get on another homeless person begging, another vendor up ahead, not a vendor, but you know, well, yeah, there he is, homeless. What's up, my guy? I think I'm gonna hit him off too. Yeah, why not? Let's bless this brother right here too. Damn, bro, you damn near killed me with that look, man. You're mean mugging the hell out of me. Take care, man. Yeah, yes, sir. Bless you. Yeah, there she is. She's selling her melons and pineapple and all that good stuff. Refreshing, too. Yeah. So after this, I'll be getting on the bridge. The bridge. That song ain't for this bridge. That song is for the Queens Bridge. Maybe one day I'll cross that bridge with you guys so you can see that area too. That's in Queens. Hip hop. What's that? Out in the park. We used to rock it out and whatever. I don't remember how the lyrics go. They're referring to the Queens Bridge. We're about to get on the George Washington Bridge. Who is this driver? Yeah, you got about 4 lanes here trying to get into one. Yeah, it's gonna be a madhouse. It's gonna be a madhouse. Be a madhouse getting in here. Bridge. Yeah, Manny grew up around this area here. Ooh! Somebody's smoking that. Boom! That thing is cutting through the doors and the windows. Damn. And it ain't coming from outside. Somebody's smashing that from inside their vehicle. But every vehicle I see has their windows closed. So, man, whatever they're smoking, good God. Yeah. I see some youths over here doing their graffiti thing. Along the left, there's a park down here. They're doing their thing, their graffiti thing. Yeah, after we negotiate through this challenge, we're pretty much on the bridge. I hope this lady gets out of my way, because as I'm turning along this bend, she could wind up becoming an extra tire on my tandems. Oh Lord, look at that. I mean, I am squeaking by along that cement divider. Squeaking. Let's go. Got to be aggressive here. If you want to get in, you got to get aggressive. I'm going to push my truck right through. Challenge whoever wants to hit it. You want to hit my truck? That's cool. I don't have a problem, but this truck hits a whole lot harder than yours, than your car. A whole lot harder. There it is. I got in. Here it is, y'all. The George Washington Bridge. All trucks to the left. Washington Heights, y'all. This is Washington Heights. That's what this neighborhood is right here. And here we go. About to go under when we get on that bridge. I'm going to wish you all a good day. I'm going to let you know to stay fresh, keep it moist. Let you get a glimpse of what it's like to be behind the wheel of a tractor trailer in New York, in the Bronx. And a little reminder that it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. More about that tomorrow on Whip It Out Wednesday. Everybody's favorite, Whip It Out Wednesday. It's just how we do. See, I'm not gonna be inconsiderate and bogart my way through. I got to merge left, but we're gonna do this patiently, considerately, without going bonkers. Now there's a tractor trailer along my left. He's being respectful and kind. So I'm gonna put my hand out and say thank you. He's letting me in. Now I'm not gonna go in 100% yet because there's some cars behind me, and if I let them go past, they're gonna bottleneck. And that's the worst. Yeah, let me mention that before I cut off. Folks, listen, when there's construction or something and traffic is supposed to merge. Yeah, so the battery power went out just as I was explaining a rule that you should take into consideration about not allowing yourself to participate in bottlenecking, because all you're going to do is slow down traffic. So if you see a sign and it says that that lane is going to end, start forming a line right away. And if everybody stays in one straight line, you can get through that tightening of the roadway at a much faster speed limit, or a much faster speed rather. If it's a construction site, it could be a speed limit of 45 or 50. And if everybody's in a straight line headed toward that bottleneck, you can get through doing 45 or 50 miles an hour. But if you start getting slick and going along the side, traveling down the lane that's going to close as fast as you can, so you can be one of the first near the neck of the bottle, all you're going to do is cause major traffic. You're going to slow everybody down from 50 miles an hour to 5 miles an hour. Well, that was all. And just a reminder, guys, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. This is the Solomon Project. I'm your host, Richard Burns. Stay fresh and keep it moist.